Everyone, welcome back to Modern with Randy. I am Randy, and as always, we're going over another deck today. This one is the Indomitable Creativity deck that has kind of been in and around Pioneer for a long time now, and kind of going over this new version of it that I've seen. It's a version I like. I personally liked when Creativity went over to the Jeskai version of it. I like the Jeskai version of it. I'm a bigger fan of that than I am the blue-red version that you'll see more commonly played. But the big thing today that we're changing or we're doing differently is we're playing Vault-Born Tyrant instead of Atraxa or the two-card combo with the Worm and Xenagos, or with Gearhulk, which I think is probably the worst version in my opinion. But so we're gonna play Vault-Born Tyrant. So what this is a 7 mana, so it's 5 mana and 2 green for a 6/6 with trample, and then whenever the Tyrant or another creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life and draw a card. And then when it dies, if it's not a token, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. That's a lot of words, basically. So the biggest thing I've noticed with this deck, when I've seen people play it, when I've played it myself, the biggest thing I had with this is that Vault-Born is obviously worse as when you download Creativity for what? It's worse than Atraxa, right? Like, you can notate that Atraxa can draw, up to like 5 cards out of the top like 10, as well as a 7/7 with lifelink, things like that. So like obviously that's worse than just drawing 1 card and gaining 3 life. We're not stupid people. We know this, right? No one's saying that's not how it's working. But the biggest difference I have with this is when you do it for 2, or you do it even for 1, and you target your own Vault-Born Tyrant, then you're getting multiple triggers with this, right? So if you download Creativity like the next turn after, so turn 4 you download Creativity, turn 5 you download Creativity for 1 again, and you hit your own Vault-Born Tyrant. Then you get 2 triggers off of that, or if you're doing it later in the game, you're getting 2 or 3 triggers, and you gain so much life and things like that because they each see each other, so they're going to double trigger off of that. And you can be able to, you're getting 12 plus life, and that is stabilizing so much. And then besides that, I really like this version of it. I like the white splash. Like I said, I think it gives you a lot more consistency than what I've seen before. Like, that was kind of my biggest problem with, I think, this deck as a whole, is that I played Download Creativity before. I didn't really care for it. I thought it was way too reliant on the combo itself, and I think that this version's a lot better. It's a lot easier to cast Vault-Born Tyrant. We're playing a couple of the green triumphs in this version to get there, and it's just a good list overall. So this is something I like to do. I played this list. I think it's really fun to play. I had a blast playing it. I liked some of the numbers I've seen. I like the Deuce being a card that has come about. It's just probably one of the best cards that this deck got to add, with being able to draw a card and then investigate, so you get that clue. But just going over the deck here real quick. We're playing 25 lands altogether. We are playing 4 green triumphs along with the 4/4 Ragon triumphs for our Jeskai colors, and then we're playing 1 of the Surveil lands. So it is 9 tap lands, but like, this deck is, you're not trying to win fast, right? You don't need to combo off turn 4 win type deal. We get to play Change the Rocks, which is one of the best removal spells in the format. It's a card I think that gets glossed over a lot, and people don't realize that this card exists. But it's really limited in what you can play with it. Obviously, that's why we're playing so many mountains, because we have the Ragon Triumphs, Jetmir's Garden, which is a mountain, Petra Triumph, which is a mountain. We're also playing 1 regular mountain, 4 Sacred Foundries, 4 Steam Vents. All these mountains to help enable Change to the Rocks, being able just to exile basically any creature, doesn't matter what it is, and then just attach it basically to one of our mountains is great. There's not really a whole bunch of enchantment removal running around main deck for sure, so it's basically just a 1 mana answer whatever creature you want it to answer type deal. And then even in the sideboards against a lot of the decks, like, there's not enchantment removal, and people don't want to bring in enchantment removal just to Change the Rocks. We get to play Lightning Helix, probably one of the best removal spells we've gotten printed here recently. Just being able to deal 3 damage and gain 3 life is amazing. This is like one of the big reasons I want to be in white with this deck. It was having Chainsaw Rocks and Lightning Helix is a great removal and great life buffer. We also get to play No More Lies. Again, just it's a good counterspell, right? We've seen this be a good counterspell in Standard. We've seen it be a good counterspell in Blue-White Control. Good spell. Like, there's just not a reason to play it. We already went over the Deuce. Just, it cycles itself and then also makes a token. Great. Prismatic Command's another one where it just lets us filter our card draw, or filter our hand. Makes that treasure token. Hits artifacts, because obviously there's a lot of artifacts running around. You have the whole, yeah, that deck. The Ensoul Artifact deck runs around. There's also a lot of this like incidental artifacts that run around. So this is good little like targeted artifact removal. Fable the Mirror Breaker, I'm not going to go over this card too much. Just, you guys know what it does. It makes a token. It makes another token when it attacks. You get to filter with the card draw, with the chapter 2, and then with chapter 3, you know, you get to make the flip version, and just is great, right? Like, there's not too much to talk about this card. Card's been amazing in every format that it's played in. Wandering Emperor is another one where I really enjoy this card a lot. I like being able to have like that good spot removal, gain life, makes tokens, and can just like slowly take over the game by itself if it needs to be. I do think in the end here I'm going to end up going up to a third Wandering Emperor in the main. I just really like that card a lot. It's a card I've really liked as a whole. And then Shark Typhoon as well is just another way to make tokens, things like that. And of course we have our Vault-Born Tyrant and then our 4 Indomitable Creativity. Deck has been a lot of fun playing. I really enjoy this deck a lot. I've gotten a couple different 4/1s with it. Being able to have Lightning Helix is kind of huge against all these red decks running around right now. All this prowess, all this aggressiveness. I think Lightning Helix is a great way to kind of deal with that. I will say probably like one of my biggest problems is like Phoenix is a lot of grindiness to it. Depending on like game 1, you can kind of like steal away pretty easily because they only have like they have two spell piercers as all they have, and so they're not actively digging for them, or they just don't find them in their top 20 cards or whatever. You can just kind of take over the game with your Vault-Born Tyrants because it has trample as well. So like even when they block, they're still taking damage type deal. And then obviously if they have to like double spell to kill it. So like your game 1's feel really good. Game 2 and 3 is where it becomes a lot harder, I would say, just because of what they are doing and what they're doing. And then it's like it's going to be a long grinding matchup, so it's a lot of back and forth. There's also tons of times where you just 2-0 them while trying, and it looks like you're on top of the world. But that being said, I have enjoyed this deck a lot. Once I first saw it, I just kind of fell in love with it, and it was kind of like what I've been looking for. I will admit I was really skeptical on Vault-Born Tyrant when I originally saw this list. I was like, that can't be right. Like, this card does not seem that good, and it feels a lot better than it looks. I will say that it is deceptively good and fun to play. I think the first person I saw with this list was, I want to say it was either Doomwake or it was someone who did well in like a league dump or something like that, and I was interested in it, and then I saw Doomwake for sure iterate on it with more of the Jeskai into it, because like you'll see a lot of this is just blue red gets showcased a lot, and I think that the correct way to build this is something along these lines. I think that being able to cast your Vault-Born Tyrant is something that you should try to do. It's not that hard of a splash, and I mean, yeah, you're playing a couple more tap lanes, like that's like the biggest problem, but like this deck's not trying to win on turn 4. Like, you're not trying to turn the corner and slam the book down and just win. You have the grinding elements. You're basically more of like a control deck with a combo finish, if you will. Because it's not really like you're not casting Indomitable Creativity and your opponent's just like, oh, can't win this game, now over. You're not doing like the Xenagos Worm combo. You're just outvalue and outgrind your opponent basically. And this deck does that so well, and it just feels so good. And then along with the sideboard here, just kind of some quick overview. So we have Supreme Verdict, Wandering Emperor, Sunfall are all these cards we have for controlling the game more, right? So we have more removal, just goodness. I mean, Sunfall is a little negative with the Tyrant just because it exiles all creatures, so you don't get your token back. But if you're casting Sunfall, you're more likely just using it to catch back up into the game, so it feels good. Hullbreaker Horror is one of those ones that I've not been too impressed with. I saw people playing it in their sideboard. I don't necessarily agree with it as a whole. We don't have a lot of super cheap removal or like super cheap spells to use with it. but I could just be wrong. They're not doing it correctly, so I'm not going to sit here and say I'm right. I'm right. They're wrong type of deal. But again, it's just a good spell to help creativity into. As well as obviously we can cast 7 mana. We have 7 mana Vault Breaker. We can cast a 7 mana 7/8. But just good to help kind of control the board. Good against like the control matchups is what really good for it. It can't be countered type deal. Quakebringer. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. If you've been playing Pioneer, you've seen this probably in the sideboard. This is for Amalia and Amalia only. Excuse me. First line of text, 100% that says opponents can't gain life. That is what that's in here for. And then it also has another ability. So at the beginning of your upkeep, deals 2 damage to each opponent. This ability triggers only if Quakebreaker is on the battlefield or if Quakebreaker is in your graveyard and you control a giant. So that's not important. We don't have any other giants. So if we get both Quakebreakers out, they're going to lose two life a turn. Cool. This is just there for they can't gain life. 100% there for the Amalia matchup. The Amalia matchup is a lot more difficult to play against. I do like it though. I don't think it's nearly as bad as it's not like 20-80 in Amalia's favor. I think it's more like 45-50. I think it's more of a 55% in Amalia's favor, but I do think it is a winnable matchup for sure. Just kind of depends on how you draw versus how they draw. Obviously, you're going to lose to the nuts every time, and it's just how it is most best, right? Like decks that let's go, do and have like the perfect plays every turn, you're probably going to lose to. Pick your poison here for the here to help us against I always forget the Vein Ripper. I don't know why I forget Vein Ripper's name. Here to help you against Vein Ripper. Here to help you against the Phoenix matchup. Just ways to make them sacrifice their flyers, things like that. Doman's Veto for the control matchup and things that we just need to have more hard counters essentially. And then Ashiok is also here for the Phoenix matchup, and as well as so it's good for the Phoenix matchup and it's good for you can bring it in against the Amalia matchup, being able to exile their graveyard and turn off their chords, as well as some of them are still running Fauna Shaman, some of them aren't. I know that's kind of like up in the air where you should be if you should be on Fauna Shaman or not. Helps to turn on Fauna Shaman, things like that. Also, obviously good against Phoenix, being able to nuke their graveyard, make sure they're not able to draw 3, get back Phoenixes, things like that. Also good against the there was another deck I was playing this game. Good is probably not, is subjective. Yeah, I think you can play it against Lotus Field, being able to stop them from searching up. From searching, I think it's not terrible. I think we have enough stuff to remove out of our deck that we can bring it in, because like you're gonna go in and cut, Chain Lightning or Lightning Helix, not Chain Lightning. That's Legacy, folks. You want to cut Lightning Helix, and just having enough stuff to bring in to deal with that as a whole. But yeah, I do like this deck. I like what it's doing. It's really fun. I've had a blast playing it, and it's something that I'm contemplating buying Vaultborn Tyrant for. I think I might actually take this to one of the RCQs I have coming up, just because I've had a blast playing it, and I think it might actually be well positioned. I think Lightning Helix is a very well positioned card right now, because I think, as we're going to see probably in the next couple weeks or so, people are going to be jamming the Mono Red Prowess, the Wizards deck, the Ghoul Red Prowess Wizards, whatever you're calling these aggro decks, or whatever you want to call these aggro decks. People are going to be jamming them, and I think you want to be in a position where like you need to recognize that this is a deck, or that's really the deck you're going to see. Lightning Helix is great for that. Being able to have like the cheap interaction of Lightning Helix, No More Lies, Change the Rocks, Prismari Command even, and then just being able to have Vaultborn Tyrant that gains life to get you back into the game. And I think that is going to be a good position you want to be in, as well as like this isn't terrible against vampires or against Phoenix. Amalia matchup is a little rougher. I think that like they can just kind of like come out of nowhere and win. Another good thing though for this too is like, so say we have a Vaultborn Tyrant out against Amalia, they do the little combo, wipe the board. I do get my Vaultborn Tyrant back then as a token. So good thing there about the fact that like I get my Vaultborn Tyrant back, just so you guys know you're not going to be just dead to that. And then along with having like Change the Rocks and things like that to be able to answer 23 Amalia, not terrible. Same thing with Wandering Emperor, things like that. But yeah, great deck. I think this is something you guys should look at trying to take into an RCQ if it's something you want to do. Obviously more of an expensive side type deck with all these triumphs we're playing. Vaultborn Tyrant's super expensive right now because it's mythic that you have a low percent chances of pulling, things like that. But great fun deck. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. As always, if you're liking what I'm doing, liking what you're seeing, give me a like, subscribe, leave a comment if there's something you want to see or something you want me to talk about or something you don't like how I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, I will see you guys next time.